Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stormworks update video. In this video we'll be covering an update as of today, which is 0.5.12. Now as always we'll go over the new features added and finally go ahead and test them out in the world of Stormworks. Now if you're enjoying these videos, comment below and let me know what else you would like to see in any of my future videos. While you're there, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and remember to click that little bell icon to be notified of many of my upcoming content as soon as it gets posted. So let's get straight into it and get started. So the first major change this week is going to be the addition of the new crane here on the creative island in Stormworks. Now this crane has actually been designed by two content creators here on the workshop or on the community themselves. It's done by content creators called Gardner and also Xfair. Now the crane itself is really nice. It looks much better in comparison, I feel, to compared to the last crane that we had. The last crane has been in the game for quite a long time, ever since I've been playing at least, which is getting to about nearly a year now, so it's definitely nice to see that they've updated and refreshed it, and also they're using some user created content to build the game. I really like that, and I really encourage them to carry on with that, using the community driven stuff for that. Now the crane itself, as you can see, pretty much same as the old crane. It's run on some rails, the normal large rail systems on either side. Now the difference between this one and the old one is these ones have the little bumper stops on either side, or the guards at least, and you actually can see here they've gone ahead and used the shock absorbers on either side to stop it going past where it should be allowed. Now along with that, we also have on the crane itself is going to be a staircase along with that additional ladders to get up there. Now in comparison to the last one where we just had ladders that went straight up to the actual area itself, it's nice to see that there's a little bit of a difference here, and it also stops you from falling off, which is quite nice, whereas the old one you could just press F and drop down, so that's quite nice to see also. Now if you were to go ahead and come up the ladders and stairs, you can see now we have the main observatory area over here, and this is where the actual middle piece of the crane is going to be running along, so really nice and realistic for actual crane itself. Now to get in there, what we're going to be doing is just, if I don't fall down the stairs of course, we're just going to be going down just over here, down into the cockpit area. As you can see here, there's another ladder system that goes down, and then once we get into this area over here, we also have a little door that goes ahead and opens the actual cockpit area, or the control area of the crane itself. Now you can jump in that seat. We have access to a couple buttons on the walls and also on the ceiling here. We're just going to go ahead, close the door. We also have the cab light and the crane lights. Now we go ahead and we can see what the crane lights look like. You can see we just have the lights just along the actual top section itself. Now moving on with that, we have lock load. We also have the load lights, up and down, forwards and backwards, left and right. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward controls. The cool things are going to be the load lights. Now if you were to go ahead and look at it, yes, those are spotlights that are actually over there, so you'll be able to see very clearly of what you're actually going to be picking up if you are going to be using this crane in Stormworks itself. So that's quite nice to see. We're just going to turn those off. Along with that, you can see that we can do the up and down of the crane. That pretty much is going to be to get the winches to release the cable, and that's going to allow it to move up and down. We also have the forwards and backwards. Once again, this is going to actually move the piece here. As you can see, it's now moving it along the actual crane itself, and you can position it in the middle or whichever side you want to go ahead and actually lift your cargo from itself. Along with that, we also have the left and right. So if you go ahead and press the left button, you can see the actual crane is moving along its rail pieces, and we also have those orange flashing lights, which I really like. It's kind of like a little warning indicator that the crane is moving, which is more realistic, I think, in comparison to the old crane that we had in the game. Now along with that, you're probably wondering, well, okay, what connections do we have on this crane in comparison to the last one? Well, first off, as you can see here, we're just going to try and get into a third person mode here. You can see we have 4 normal magnet connectors over here, so we'll go ahead and connect anything we want to that. Obviously you might need some different adapters and things like that depending on what load you are going to be lifting or moving along. You obviously have to go and test it out and see what you want to be doing, but it's nice to see more or less a smaller system over here, and you can get creative with what you want to put onto it. Now along with that, we also have the lock load. Obviously that's going to be just to turn the magnets on, you can see there, and along with that there's nothing much else to talk about this crane. It's a really nice design, really nice to see they've gone ahead and updated it in the current build of Stormworks. So let's go ahead and move on to the next feature. So now the next feature in today's update is actually going to be a little bit of a back end of an update in terms of actual settings. Now it has nothing to do with the actual in-game components or any changes over there, but it's actually going to be going over to the settings itself. Now as always, we go to the settings. You can see they've gone ahead and added a general tab. Now this is going to be able to control your HUD, so you can obviously go ahead and show and hide your objectives, your clock, your minimap, and your player names. So this is quite nice. So if you want to go ahead, and you can obviously see it is changing live while we do that, so it's nice to see it. If we were to go ahead and save it and go back into our game, we now have a completely blank screen. The only thing we see is going to be obviously the version in the bottom left of the game, because obviously we're still in early access at the moment, but however from that we have a beautiful clean screen. So if you were wanting to do a little more cinematic things, especially I know a lot of guys that are creating videos, this is going to be quite a nice thing. Obviously you don't have to have your minimap on there, you don't have to have your mission details on there, which is going to be quite nice. Now going on to the last thing I wanted to cover for this update is going to be with the actual wheels themselves. Now you can see if we go over to the medium wheels, and now we also have the addition of variable braking. Now this is going to be something pretty cool. Obviously before we always used to have the brake, which was always an on and off signal. So if you wanted to apply a brake, it would literally be on or off. There was no variable braking at all. So it's nice to see they've gone ahead and updated this. Now how it works is it takes a number signal between 0 and 1, obviously 1 being 100% worth of brake being applied to the wheel, whereas 0 would be no brake being applied to the wheel. So you can obviously go 10%, whatever you want, and you could obviously get some cool, interesting results from that. That means that when you if you start playing around the system, and I'm sure the community is going to come up with some really interesting and weird ways to actually play with this, but you can pretty much get a nice soft braking motion on your vehicles now, which is something we didn't have before. So it's nice to see we had that addition in the game. Now as far as I'm aware, it's obviously going to be on your smaller wheels and also on your larger wheels, and then we actually also have them on the wheel coasters themselves. Now obviously I'm sure the community is going to get quite creative in what they're going to be using this for, and what systems you can get it, but I can see a couple people probably doing some nice drifting or like skidding things with vehicles going forward, and maybe something interesting with that. Now there's also been a couple other smaller changes in terms of fixes and just little bug fixes and here and there, performance issue fixes. I'm not going to cover them in this update. As always, we'll go stick with the major features, but that's pretty much about it for today's update. So I think we'll go ahead and end today's video over there, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and found it somewhat entertaining and informative as always, and we'll see you in the next one.